go. Hello, Satnam, beautiful friends. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to my channel. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe down below. Click the bell, followed by all. Check your cellular devices as well. I thank you for joining me. My name is Joseph Tittel, aka Spiritman J.T, and I am here to bring you love, light, truth, predictions, and prophecy. And today is, let me mute this thing. Today is Tuesday, March 22nd, 2022, and it is a 22 day, and it is Tuesday. I'm Tittle. This is not tea today. This is coffee today. I thought some chocolate butter or chocolate macadamia nut coffee sounded good. So that's what we're drinking today. Usually it is tea. So what we're going to do every Tuesday, if you're new to the channel, again, don't forget to give me a like down below. Thank you all for your love and support by giving me a like, subscribing, and all your tokens of appreciation that come through. I am so very, very grateful infinitely to all of you. So today and every Tuesday, we are going to talk about some of the news stories that have come into light since last Tuesday, things that can relate to previous predictions and sometimes even prophecy. We're going to also, like every week, give you a list of new predictions, new things, new visions that have come to me. And today, let's see, pull up my notes. Today, well, I got a lot. I got probably at least another dozen predictions for you. And as you know, if you watch and you hang around enough, you know that like as I get information, more information comes through. And I always work hard on my notes and visions that come to me throughout the week sometimes. And then I just go back and then I work on that hours before. It takes me a while to get everything organized. And eventually I'll be able to show you different articles. Right now with my current computer situation, we're flowing this way. So an earth-shattering event is coming. And here's the thing, and you got to kind of watch these videos fully, especially on Tuesday, because again, I go through stories, but more stuff comes to me in relation to those stories and more predictions. And I mix it all up. I mixed it all up today a little bit. But earth-shattering event, we all know it. We've been feeling it for quite some time, and there's many earth-shattering events. And I'll get more into this as we progress and as we come and bring today's live stream to a close. But that is the topic, the head of today's Tittle Tuesday tea time. And also starting off, I had a video on YouTube, surprise, surprise, taken down. And I couldn't find when it was, when the video was from. It had to be from, I'm guessing 2020, because it was kind of based on that a little bit. And what I've come to the conclusion of that's pretty obvious is that they must have changed their policy and guidelines, because luckily there was no strike or anything towards the channel, because again, if I wasn't aware of new policy and guidelines, they would have took it down a long time ago. They wouldn't have waited, but new policy and guidelines. So just be aware of that there are new policies, which means that there's probably many pages that they've taken down or suspended as well. This all happened late last week, actually. So if you have any other channels that you follow and they disappeared or anything, you'll know that they might have got a strike of some sort. Or again, depends if they did something new under their new policy guidelines, which I haven't read, but I need to get read up on. And last Tuesday's show, out of what, 23 videos so far this year, is in number 3 in views. So thank you all for that. It's becoming quite an interesting topic every Tuesday, right? So last week and weeks ago, I talked about different plane crashes coming. Last week, I talked a little bit more on seeing planes explode, which I'll talk about in a moment. But I also, going back, and it might have been in my January 1st predictions, I'm not sure. Maybe someone in the chat can tell you. But I said that I saw a plane literally falling out of the air. And as many of you know, a plane did in China literally appear to fall right out of the air. And to go back to that prediction, and I said that there were going to be possibly three different planes, and that I saw one exploding in midair. And it felt to me like it was from inside the plane, like luggage or something. And that it would feel like they would say that it was taken down somehow. Maybe blames Russia or Syria. And that's what I said last week. But again, it was earlier back that I talked about a plane falling out of the sky. Just so happens that, many of you know JB, the puppet president of the United States, is going to Europe sometime within the next week or something. And it would not surprise me. Why would they put him in that danger of going near a battlefield? Makes you wonder. So could that be it? I don't know. But if, again, it comes to me in visions, these are big stories or things that are caught on film. And my vision of a plane dropping out of the air was caught on film and appears exactly like that, like it's falling out of the air. So be safe out there, especially in the airlines. And I don't believe this is all occurring here in United States. More likely Europe, actually, especially the one exploding is definitely more over Europe. So just be safe with that. There were, 130 some people killed in the plane crash in China. Many of you remember, especially again going back to January, about me and I think it was last week or the previous Tuesday, that I talked about Disney being in headlines and Disney Corporation like literally going to be hit harder and harder, like one blow at a time until it becomes a big blow. And that's how Spirit shows me. It's kind of like a little volcano that's topped by a big boom. And little volcanoes have just erupted in the world of Disney, the pedophile network. That is because, 4 Disney employees were arrested for human trafficking campaign, say deputies down there in Florida. 4. And you have to go look and do a little research on it. I have an article here. It's not opening. I don't know why it's not opening. Oh, there it is. Open link. There we go. Let me just show you. And I will actually, after we're done, I'll have to put these links down below in the description so that you have them. But yeah, 4 employees arrested in human trafficking campaign, deputies say, in Polk County, Florida. Over 100 people were arrested in this Florida Operation March Sadness 2, second time, a 6-day undercover investigation that focused on human trafficking, prostitution, and child predators. And 4 of them, all working for that company, have been arrested, mostly on pedophilia type charges. So, there you have it with that article, and this is what I'm going to tell you about that. And again, as we read news article, oh shit, did I just close that? Oh, I did. Did I? I didn't mean to do that. Oh well. Anyway, next article, I closed it by accident. So I told you I saw a lot more coming out of that whole corporation there. And you know that one of their CEOs or somebody resigned, last year or early this year. They switched power many times, and there's another switch of power that's coming. And I'm going to explain that to you down in my predictions, because I have some specific predictions about corporations and what's going to happen in that arena. But as far as these big stings on child trafficking and all, that's a little compared to what's to come and what's happening behind the scenes, according to Spirit. But it's not like they say in the conspiracy world. It's not happening like that. We could only wish, hope, and dream. But I have read this article, and I thought this article was very, very interesting. And I don't know, and I didn't have time. Thank you, Sandra, with infinite love and gratitude, and anybody else that put chat cash through. This article is interesting, and again, I didn't have time to research it to see how true it is or not, because I'm not familiar with this website, Vizarer. Breaking news: indictments for 23 Democrats who sold America to China. Throughout history, it has been clear that those who trusted to uphold and protect the United States Constitution have failed in their duties. Most especially, I'm not going to go into Democrats, Republicans. This is the article, not me, because it's the same darn bird as you hear me say all the time. Right wing, left wing, same bird. But again, interesting article, and I don't know how true it is, but it says 15 of the 23 culprits were mentioned by Peter Schweizer, Republicans. So 15 of the 23 mentioned by Peter Schweizer are Republicans. So both Republicans and Democrats. Like I said, right wing, left wing, same bird. Just makes sense. And I'll have to leave that article down in the description for you as well. I do see, and I told you, this goes way back to 2016, January, maybe even a little bit before that. where I had visions of arrests happening and CEOs stepping down and all that before the conspiracy people came along, before all that happened. And it was one of the most disturbing visions that I've ever had. And you have to go back and listen to me describe it because I lived back in Pennsylvania then, so it was quite some time ago. I'm pretty sure it was 2016. Disturbing visions. And there are arrests happening, but these people that they claim are dead, that have been assassinated or are in jail, not completely true. Maybe a little bit of partial truth to that, absolutely. There are things happening behind the scenes that you don't know about, but it's not everything that they try to tell you in the conspiracy world. Just saying. And if these indictments are true, that would make sense to the visions of court hearings that I've had and talked to you all about before, including visions that I had about Hillary Clinton, and I seeing her again on the court stand, seeing Trump in the court stand, being escorted out of the court. I mean, I remember all these visions. They're popping back in my mind again, so I've definitely talked to you all about this before. So things are going to happen, and this could be what I'm talking about when I say that like shattering events are about to take place. And even though my video title is Shattering Event, but it's going to be a whole bunch of events that lead up to one big event. And it is going to be shocking, and it's going to be a greater awakening, like I said last week. They talk about the Great Awakening. No, this is going to be a greater awakening, greater than what they planned for their Great Awakening New World Order crap. This will end up being more a slap in their faces, which will be nice. Last week I talked about the bird flu, and I don't know what I did with that. Darn. Oh, here it is. And I talked about that over a month ago, coming back. And then it did in another country, and we talked about all the animals that were killed. But this newest article comes out that bird flu cases forced the killing of 5.3 million chickens in Iowa. And I just talked about this last week, and about this getting bigger and hitting, globally. And this article came out on the 18th, so it came out after last Tuesday's show. Right? I think so. 18, 2022. Yeah, came out after my show last week when I talked about the bird flu again. Something to be aware of, folks. And here's some of the truth revolved around that. It's not just the bird flu. Again, they have this goal of starving us out. You see it happening with the economy, with the shipping, with everything. That's what they're trying to do. And I'll talk to you about this at the end, because it's the end of my notes today, about what you need to be concerned about and what we all need to be like. We're in dire time of preparation. So we have this widespread severe weather that's happening down south right now, tornadoes and so forth. But yesterday, and I almost wanted to come on live and say it, but I didn't. I saved it for today. I saw a large path of destruction across the Midwest in a vision. It reminded me of two things, because I remember there being something like this years ago. I don't know how many years ago. And it was record breaking. It was bigger than that. It reminded me of something out of that movie Tornado. And it was wide and it was long, and there were more than one path. It was like more than one met up with each other. Like 2 to 3 tornadoes come together. Really wild. It's creepy vision. And I hope so. We gotta all hold those people down there in the South. We gotta hold them in the light. We gotta hold them in love and the whole planet. Because the path of destruction I saw was disturbing. Going through not just, a lot of those paths of destruction in the Midwest and the West, you see mostly are like farmland and such like this. Oh, this went right through neighborhoods, right through areas. Wide destruction and path like nothing I've ever seen. And I don't know if it's related to what's happening there in storms now. That sometimes I see things and say things and they happen right away, like last week. And I'll get to that in a minute about Japan. And I have some information from my friends in Japan too in a few minutes. But I wanted to go to there. So the next story was the massive cracks that opened up in Mexico. I don't know if y'all saw that. And I just saw a glance of it, and I'm like, in a picture of these large cracks opening up in Mexico. And I talked about Mexico and huge earthquakes happening there in the past. Well, The Earth plates are actually shifting very slowly. Obviously, if there's cracks opening up, the plates are shifting. You don't need to be psychic or a geologist to know that. But I see a greater shift happening with the plates in in Mexico, where they snap into place, kind of like the way Spirit shows me, actually, as if your shoulder got dislocated and we had to snap it back into place. That's the way Spirit actually shows it to me right now. So that's kind of interesting, right? And in turn, this would bring an extremely large earthquake, probably an 8.0 or larger. And I feel like, again, that's on the doorstep of Mexico, sadly. And again, people might even describe it, if and when it occurs, as a feeling like something snapping back into place. If Spirit gave me that whole, dislocated shoulder snapping back in, I would think that there'd be some validity to that when the story actually, or if the story actually occurs. So massive cracks. Daylight savings. I know they're voting for that. We in Arizona, we don't have daylight savings here, thankfully. But now all my friends back east are 3 hours behind me instead of 2 hours, and that's quite annoying and challenging at times with schedules and meeting up and connecting with friends and family back east. But at the same time, I don't know if this vote completely went in the United States. I know they were voting for it to do away with it and leave it the way it is. That's the way they should do it. But I feel like they should do it in the fall, because I feel like fall is when it should be. But regardless, if they do it, Spirit said it ain't gonna last. It ain't gonna last long before they change it back again. So there you have that. Did you know and hear about that asteroid that impacted the Earth right above Iceland? And they only discovered it a few hours before it actually hit. That's right, an asteroid that hit. And I bring this story up today because this is just one of 7, is what Spirit said. One of 7 major events related to asteroids and such this year, yet to come. So there's 6 more on the list. And you'll have to go back because, again, I get those visions that I know I've had before of asteroid or meteor hitting a building, like it happened in Russia years ago. Remember that? I have that vision now, and I feel like I've had this vision. So I must have said this at some point since January. I may not have, but I'm saying it now. So this is one of 7 coming events, is what Spirit told me. And the date, and the world's not going to end from it anytime soon, so you don't have to worry about that. The only date that we need to worry about when it approaches, as of now, would be Friday the 13th. What a day! Friday the 13th, 2029, when Apophis comes flying by. That's going to have major effect on our planet. I've talked about it in other videos. I will do a future video on that and Nibiru in the future. So again, all the more reason to subscribe down below and keep on top of things. Don't forget to click the bell on the all and check your cellular devices settings as well. A huge solar flare is coming. And this huge solar flare is going to affect electronics in small different areas, especially areas like Africa. So whatever this huge solar flare that's coming, again, it's going to affect things in electronics in the way of power in a few small areas, is what Spirit said, for now. And again, as more of a warning to prepare, even though we can't even prepare at this point because we're so behind, because they're so worried about building all the technology that you could never imagine and dreamed existed, while all our stuff deteriorates and falls behind. That's part of their plan. Again, their great reset. But we're going to have the greater reset, right? The greater reset that's coming. Let's move on. So there's going to be lots of solar flares. But as I was telling you about this, I can't believe I just did that. All over my nice shirt. Oh, well. Chocolate macadamia nut coffee. I hope it don't stain. Sorry, I have a hole in my chin. Thank you, Jillian. Love you, girl. You're a gem that shines. So going back to solar flares, when I was telling you that, it also told me that it would affect people's energy and emotions when that occurs in a negative factor. So we'll have to see exactly what that means. Which brings into mind not solar flares, chemtrails. Yeah, I'm going to tell you about that in a minute. I got some information about that for you. Let's move on. I see some type of protesting and rioting in the streets of a city. I can't tell you where this city is, but I feel like I'm either in Africa or actually Nigeria popped in my mind. And I bet you it probably more likely would be Nigeria. There's some kind of uprising that's happening and protesting and rioting in the streets. And it was a city. That's all I got with that. Assassinations. I've talked about these before. I said what I say last time, three in all. But I see one coming really, really soon. Really soon. And I had a vision of a man speaking in front of a small crowd outside. I mean, it looks small. I mean, from the view that I was seeing, I only saw the front. So it could be a big crowd. I don't know, but it looks small to me. And I heard 3 shots. Bang, bang, bang. I heard 2, like bang, bang. And then I heard a pause. And then I heard another shot. Bang. And then I just heard chaos. So again, I don't know what this has to do with, but I saw an assassination, excuse me, a man that was speaking in front of a crowd of people outdoors. Now that I say that, I would think that this might be somebody like a city leader, like a mayor. Like the mayor of New York City or some kind of mayor. Because I mean, that would make the most sense, speaking outside in front of a crowd. Small crowd especially. Must be a bad mayor. Anyway, yeah, must be a bad mayor. I see some type of okay, this one was really disturbing. See, and this is what it's like being in my head. Like, you couldn't imagine that sometimes being in my head. Sometimes I don't want to be there. That's why I go outside and play in the garden and in the dirt. Because I saw some type of very disturbing murdering spree that was occurring in a city. There were several of these serial killers belonging to some type of group wishing to bring fear upon the city. Spirit said to me that they were a paid group, like so many other paid groups. For example, those who destroyed the cities and burned down the cities in the United States 2 summers ago. Yeah. So I believe these there's 3 people in this group, maybe more, or perhaps it starts off as 3 and grows larger. But I also felt like this would be something that perhaps spreads to other cities. I don't know how, but I just feel like, again, if they're a paid group. And they prey on folks that are leaving bars, high-end hotels, and things like that. So I just in the visions, I saw, again, stalking like bars and like people stumbling out of the bar. A lot of these attacks are in alleys where it's dark, alleyways. And then I saw like high ends. I was in a city, a big city, maybe New York. I mean, it could likely be New York. I'm not sure. But this partly is meant to scare people into staying indoors at nighttime. So that's why they're a paid group. They're being paid because they want to keep people scared and indoors at nighttime. So if it's not New York City, then it would be a city abroad, like somewhere in the UK or Paris. It appears like all these victims are being stabbed. Some of them have taser marks on their neck, and Spirit just showed me that. Taser marks on their neck, which would be able to be validated again. If Spirit shows it to me, we would be able to validate it when and if the story comes into fruition. So check this one out. Y'all saw this yesterday. It was all over the place, and I don't watch news or anything, and I heard about it. My friend texted it to me, and I'm like, about JB, the puppet president, who declared a new world order coming. And again, we were called conspiracy theorists years ago. I was called a conspiracy theorist when I talked about the New World Order. I did videos on it back in 2015, 2016. And yeah, conspiracy theory, huh? But even though I showed clips, y'all, my peeps know I showed clips of old man Bush saying it. up in front of the United Nations. Oh, what we need is a new world order, one world government, one world currency, and one world religion. What is their one world religion? Worshiping their demon gods, most likely. But he declared this on. This goes to show, folks. Again, conspiracy. No bullcrap. When they call conspiracy, a lot of times it's something that's truth that they want to cover up. That all started with JFK's murder and assassination. That's when they started using conspiracy theory to shut people up from Kennedy's assassination. So now you got Biden out there pushing it. Like he was speaking in front of some group. I didn't hear it. Everybody told me about it. And I mean, it don't surprise me. Just like Ukraine. Ukraine says that Russian troops are cockroaches. Did you see that? If you didn't see that video, you're not going to. They took it out of everywhere. Russians are cockroaches, not humans. And they are captured. And they take the captured Russians. And they are no longer prisoners. They are called patients. Because they will all be castrated. That's right. That's what they say. I'm sorry, but that's just dark and evil. No matter what side. No side's good. They're both dark and evil. It's all dark, evil agendas here. But that's what they said. They're cockroaches and deserve to be castrated. Now, what's this tell you about the whole conspiracy? That's not so much of a conspiracy. About them wanting to depopulate the planet. And about being depopulated. And we know all about things that they're using to depopulate the planet. Ooh, there's 600 people. Look, we were just talking about friggin' demons and shit, and 666 people are on right now. Now 669, but that's creepy. That just confirms everything I just said. That there's a darker force here. But we know that. Again, you don't need to be psychic or even the people that are not awoken still know that darkness is here on this planet. So, everybody that thinks that Putin's over there taking out the darkness and he's a white hat and all that. I hate to bust your bubble. But again, Trump wasn't your savior. Putin's not going to be either. Because if that was the case, Putin would have done this a long time ago. He wouldn't have waited. Although he did send a message about that. Because he is quite aware. I watched videos of him, which you probably can't find now, talking about the New World Order and being against it. But again, they're all tricky and deceptive, and you have to be really careful in what you listen and believe. Because remember, Lucifer was the trickster. He was the most beautiful angel in the heavens, right? And they're good at tricking people. They've been doing it for decades. But there are videos of him saying that. Going back a few years, back in 2020, I remember watching those videos. And they were in Russian and translated, but I remember his, head of his military talking about it. And how they wanted to take control over their banking systems and so forth. So that's definitely true. And they're definitely aware of it. But again, everybody's bought off to a certain point, right? So I don't believe that, and I'll go on because I have more. But did you notice two things? Let's stop there for a minute and talk about the elite, because this is kind of funny. I think this is kind of funny. Russia's elite. And then I'll go back to Russia and Putin. Captain of Russia's oligarch $85 million super yacht stuck in Norway, says crew, is catching and barbecuing fish at local suppliers, refused to refuel the vessel. A Russian oligarch yacht captain said the crew caught fish as suppliers refused to fuel their ship. The super yacht is believed to belong to Vladimir, or whatever his name is, and he has been stuck in Norway for a month. Yeah, he's going to be stuck there for a lot longer than that. I just thought that was kind of a funny story to bring up in the middle of this whole prediction aspect of Russia. Let's go back to Russia. So, did you notice, going back to his message, did you notice the sanctions that Russia put on the United States? And you notice who are in them sanctions? Hillary Clinton, Biden's little boy, little pedophile son, the crackhead, that dude. That to me sends a message, because you don't see Trump on there, you don't see other people on there, but you see those who are in control, partly in control of the dark army. You see them on there. I thought that was really interesting. But Russia plans, also, a lot of people don't know this. They were planning to be the biggest producer of organic foods out of all, in the world. The biggest producer of organic foods. Well, of course, our government here in the United States, Canada, and all over are pushing their genetically modified foods and their synthetic meat and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, interesting. I thought that was interesting. But did you also know that Russia has fallout shelters in case of nuclear war for their citizens? Now, I remember when I was in high school, back in the day, we had a fallout shelter. But I remember going in there and it was all, they used it for storage or something. Like you couldn't live in there anymore. They took out all the food and all that was in there, and such. So, certain high schools, the shelter's still there, but it ain't a shelter. It's just more like a basement. But Russia has them specifically for their citizens. The United States government, we know about their DUMBs, their deep underground military bases. We know about them, and they're for the elite. And we know the elite are building their own underground bunkers. But I just thought it was interesting that country built them for their citizens. At least that's what I read anyway, whether it's true or not. But going back to Putin, I have no doubt, as I said before, that he will be assassinated. And they're going to make it appear like it was the Russians that did so, like they do all the time, right? It will be an inside hit, but that inside hit will be put out by George Soros and the Biden team of Lucifer demons, their dark army. Now, again, I see attempts, but not necessarily being successful right away. So, that'll be interesting, like he shot and lives for a while. Example, this is an example. This may not occur until September, maybe even November at the latest, but that's coming. The next change of power for Russia will not be a good one. He, and actually perhaps a she, will be worse than the current one is. And when they are killed or something happens to them, not long, they're not going to last long in power. I told you, I think last week or the week before that, I saw power changing in Russia twice. And then when it changes the second time, I believe that person's the one that comes in that has good, positive intentions. So we have to keep our eye out for that and see how that works out. It's all the more reason to subscribe down below. Make sure you continue to follow. So that's enough about, again, like I said, if Putin was going to take out the deep state, he would have done so by now. Here's another good example. And he would have done so with Trump. If Trump was doing all this, they would have done it so together, right? No. Never happened, because it's not the case. It's not the case at all. Did you know about the Russian internet and how Putin and the Russian government is actually setting up their own internet systems and their own, what do you call it? The systems, the computer systems and such. And I tell you, this should be an alarming event for you and for everybody, no matter where in the world you are tuning in from, because this is their plan. They want to cut us all off from each other, folks. And I told you that there's going to be a big blackout of the internet coming, and that's what they're posing to do. See, Putin, again, is on to some of this dark stuff, whether he's in on it or not. Who knows? Who cares, really, at this point? But he knows, and he's setting up their own internet system so that they have all their information there. So when the internet system goes down, they still have their own internet system. So it reminds you of somewhere else, China, same thing. And you're going to start seeing this, and that's when you should be concerned. If you're in a country where they say they're going to start doing their own internet system, you should be concerned, because that is how they're going to work on cutting us off from each other. Ooh, 777 people. That's one of my lucky numbers. So that is their plan of cutting us off from each other. And him setting up their own internet over there is a sign that they're aware of what's happening and what the plan is to take out the internet, which makes you think that, again, he's likely part of it. If he knows that they're going to take out the internet and it's part of their plan to cut us off from what's happening in the world, he's got to be a part of it, right? I mean, but it doesn't matter, because, again, he ain't going to be around that much longer anyway. And there will be a shut-off of internet between countries. Moving on. Joe Rogan. I did a video on Joe Rogan, did a reading on Joe Rogan. Told you some more controversy was going to come up around him. Big controversy. Well, the Joe Rogan experience is about to experience more controversy. which is good for him because it's going to up his watchers and listeners like crazy, especially when he has Donald Trump on, which is going to cause so much controversy that it could be canceled. I wouldn't doubt it gets canceled and then rescheduled, but eventually it's going to happen. It's going to happen, and that'll be controversy. But again, the fall months, as I said in the reading about him, the fall months, like September, October, November, that's when I see something controversial happen around that. So I don't know when he's going to have him on the show, but I heard that he is, and I see him doing this, but not sure when. Which takes me on to the next subject of South Carolina. Did you hear about this? South Carolina is passing a law to allow firing squad executions. That's right. Firing squad executions in South Carolina, giving people on death row the opportunity to get executed executioner style, mafia executioner style. I just thought that was interesting. I mentioned that today. I thought that was kind of sick and crazy and just shows the direction that they're trying to take. Next thing you know, they'll be taking us out on the streets and executing us, mafia style. Anyway. South Carolina, yeah, interesting. Oh, that would make me want to move out of South Carolina right away. I mean, again, people say, well, if you're not a criminal, then it wouldn't matter. That doesn't matter anyway. You're supporting it. It's like being there and not fighting it is supporting it. What about the guy in California? I told you about terrorism coming and a new thing of terror happening and the explosions and the things that I saw happening. Well, there was a guy in California who was just arrested for building bombs in his garage or his basement. Let me bring that article up. And this just happened the 18th as well, same as the other article I was talking about earlier. Is that the right one? No, that's not the right article. Darn, wrong article, my bad. I don't have the article. I put the wrong article in there. Oh well. I put the wrong article in there, but yeah, going back to that. Come on, back to my news. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so the reason I brought up the story and this guy being arrested for making bombs in California, and there was just one of many who were caught. He's just one of many, and he's the one of many out there that got caught, and the only one that got caught. He's not the only one. As soon as I saw that article pop up, I was like, oh, well, they got one, but where's the rest of them? You think he's in on this by himself? And you think they're dumb? There's more to it. There's a web, dark web planning attacks, not just in the United States, but abroad. They're everywhere. And sadly, JB let them all in for free. Gave them money, too. Gave them some stimuluses or whatever. And that's how they all got in. They're not all from Mexico at all. They come from lots of other places like the Middle East. And that's how they got into our country. And they're going to go from here and they're going to spread up into Canada. And they're already out in Europe and in France and so forth. So this same thing's happening right now, according to Spirit, in France, around Paris. And I don't remember what they are, but I talked a lot about Paris, I think, in my New Year's Day predictions, because bad things are going to happen in Paris. Explosions. I wouldn't doubt war-related. I felt like the Eiffel Tower fall, but not necessarily, again, physically falling, but metaphorically. Again, some of the things in the visions that Spirit shows me I have to interpret. And, seeing the Eiffel Tower fall could be more metaphorically showing us that there's a fall happening in Paris. But this is all related. When I saw that with this person arrested for making bombs, I don't feel like he was making them for himself. I feel like he was making them for somebody else. A group. Again, underground. And I'd love to know if anybody knows about that story, to comment down below to see what happens with this guy. I bet you he gets off. I bet you he's already out of jail. I'd be willing to bet. Nancy Pelosi. Oh, that senile, crazy old lady. That evil woman worshiping that Lucifer demon. Stocks. She made $10 million off of stocks in December by investing in electric car chips right before Biden pushed on this whole electric car thing. Interesting. How come they get away with inside trading and the rest of the people, even poor Martha Stewart, went to jail? But that was all just, again, just a ploy to make you think that they pay. But she didn't pay. She lived it up in jail. She had a blast in jail. She probably even wrote a book about it, made money off of that on top of it. So don't let that fool you. Don't let that little thing. But I said Nancy wouldn't be around for long in my predictions earlier back. And obviously, we all know by looking at that crazy old lady that she is not well. She's not well at all. And I see huge stress, a hurricane of stress hitting Nancy Pelosi and her family. I saw a vision today of the FBI and other agents. And I can only guess, I only just saw like a vision going in and out of, looked like somebody's house, like a house that she would own, of course. So I'm not sure why, but perhaps and hopefully they're in there because she's going to end up under investigation. I believe she is already under investigation, to be quite honest with you. But she wouldn't last through the time of her being tried and on trial anyway, because she's not going to be around long, and I'll tell you why in a moment. But I see her also, and I said this, being pushed out of her political seat. But today I got it. I saw her not being in that seat, but today I got that she was going to be pushed out of that seat. And that may happen, according to Spirit today, after she ends up in the hospital. So she'll be in the hospital, and that'll be our sign. That'll be our key. When we find out that Nancy Pelosi's in the hospital, not goes to the hospital, it stays in the hospital. That'll be a sign that soon after she'll be pushed out of her seat. Be interesting to see who goes in there, because I'm sure they'll be darker and more evil than Nancy Pelosi, if that's even possible. But I believe that she's going to die in early 2023. Why? Well, first of all, she'll be in her 9th year. Her birthday's coming up on the 26th or the 28th. I think the 26th of this month. Yeah, 2026, which will put her in her 9th year next year. And therefore, I know from being a spiritual medium and from my own friends and family members that people, first off, often die very close to their birthday. Sometimes right before. One of my friends, Vince from high school, died the day before his birthday. Sometimes it's usually within a month, 4 to 6 weeks of the birthday. Some people make it right past their birthday, but that's rare. It's usually right before. And then also I found that a lot of people pass away in their 9 personal year in numerology. My mom did, and both moms did. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people I've seen pass away that time. She's in her 9th year next year. Yeah, and usually it's before their birthday. So that's why I say that Nancy Pelosi will pass away in early 2023. Now you watch. I'm the first one that said this. Watch how many of these people out there say this now, after today. Always look at the date, time stamp on people's predictions. Because not everybody out there is real or legitimate. Just saying. Some are, yeah, lots of good ones, but that I hear, because I don't follow that. I cannot watch somebody else. When you do this, it's like kind of working in the restaurant. You don't want to eat in the same darn restaurant that you're working. It's kind of almost like the same thing. People are like, do you watch that show? I'm like, no, I don't. So back to Nancy Pelosi, that's about it. No, also I was told by Spirit that they would, for some reason, try to hide and cover up her death for some reason. But some hospital insider will leak the truth. So that'll be interesting to see. And again, that's going to be almost a year away. So Biden. And I talked about his health and talked about him many times. But again, it's obvious that he's not Biden. And a lot of times it's not Biden. It's CGI or whatever they do. But again, something's arising around him. And we all will see more, sadly, of Kamala, the other puppet. And when you start seeing more of her and less of Joe, you'll know that there's something with his health. They will keep this covered up by not taking Biden to the hospital like he should be. So that's how you'll know. That's how we'll figure this all out. Because they're not going to show you ambulance. They're not going to let you see him go to the hospital. They're going to hold him hostage, basically. Not that he can fight it, in his own space, wherever they're hiding him at this week, which I believe is in Georgia. That's where I believe he is. I believe he travels back and forth from Georgia to Delaware. And that's where you'll find him. You will not find him at the White House. You'll find him at the fake White House that they have and built in the scene for that. And that's true. I mean, I'm not even going to go into that. But yeah, I mean, we know that DC's totally like a ghost town inside that White House, other than some workers. But anyway, they're going to keep this covered up, but that's not going to work. Sorry, I lost my place here. They will likely discover the issue when the media outlet or somebody on social media posts something that shows medical equipment being moved in and out of wherever he is or one of the places he goes. So that's how that's going to be leaked out and how that's going to happen. And let me get out of there. We are heading into, my friends, quantum technology. Quantum technology. Which brings me to a quantum technology. Where'd it go? Oh my God, I lost my spot again. Oh, wait. I have a link. There we go. Let me move on. Skipped quantum technology for now. I saw a vision, this was this morning actually, huge vision of rock slides coming. And I saw this yesterday too. I had two visions of this. One of them when I was driving, which was creepy because I live in a canyon and there's lots of rocks that fall out of the canyon all the time. One hit my tire and blew it out one day. But it wasn't here. I saw rock slides, but also huge mudslides. Part of this will be in California, while huge storms will be hitting Northern California area, Oregon, and Washington state. Mainly Oregon and California. I see a huge slide that is all rocks mixed with mud. My dog. I see. She don't like the neighbors. Hold on. She's gonna drive me nuts in a second. Hold on, I will be right back. My deepest apologies. Can't concentrate with a barking dog. I had to put the wall up in front of the window. Anyway, yes, huge rock slides. I saw a huge slide of rocks mixed with mud. So I saw a couple of these. One hits a large building, maybe a resort or an apartment building. Some of this has to do with Japan too, but I'll get to Japan in a moment. I saw a building being, or attempted to be, taken down from a large explosion. And now that I say this now, it kind of makes me think of 9/11. It didn't earlier, but right now it comes to me like that. So I warn firefighters to stay away because it's almost like a trap, as if they enter in and then suddenly there's more explosions. Oh my God, my dog's driving me crazy. There we go. So yes, I have visions that remind me of 9/11. My apologies. Next time I'll prepare to keep my dog out. Thank you, Monica. And anybody else that put check cash through that I didn't see. I love you. Lots. So I saw huge explosions occur after the firefighters went in. This was terror-related attack on a city of some sort, which I believe is abroad, not in the United States or Canada, but abroad. And of course, sadly, innocent people perish. Internet. And the number 11 kept popping into my mind. Not sure why, but it's interesting. I didn't see that till now. I wrote this early this morning, and I was just thinking of 9/11. So I would think that that would likely be a day. And we know that they use those days, the 11 days, all the time. the 11th, the 22nd, 29th, mainly the 11th and the 22nd. And today is the 22nd, so hopefully this day's almost over and no bad things will happen as bad as they could be on a day like this, because they love to use these numbers. But yeah, I saw dozens, perhaps hundreds of people in this building that perish, sadly. Here's an interesting story. Throw a little story halfway in between. Japan, because we're talking about Japan now, so we might as well bring up a nice little story about Japan. Suzuki and a company, if my internet will open up, a company called SkyDrive is now collaborating to make flying cars, which are really neat looking. Again, I'll have to remember to put these articles down below for you. Hopefully I'll remember, or someone will remind me in the comments. But I thought that was really interesting, and what a great place to invest if you can. But the company is called SkyDrive, and then we know Suzuki, and they're collaborating on making flying cars. We already know that they have cars that fly, that they've been testing in different countries, but this is going to become a reality. This is going to become a reality really soon. And it's going to be in my top 10 predictions that I'm doing. I actually started editing it. I just got to finish editing it. My goal is to have that premiere on Thursday. And that's all good stuff. So you're going to have to, subscribe below and watch the good stuff that's coming, the good predictions that I have that I'm working on editing, which I plan on finishing tonight so that my people on Subscribestar can see it first. Japan is in danger once again. And last week I did say Japan was going to get a large earthquake. And they did, with tsunami warnings, and they did the very next day. So last Wednesday, that happened. So it came into my mind and visions again today that Japan is in danger once again due to several events that are coming. And actually, I think I wrote this yesterday or the day before, because I saw the Suzuki article and things come to me. But events are coming to their land of Japan. Huge rains and winds will cause mudslides that take out a small community. China is also about to be hit with record-breaking earthquake. I would not at all doubt that this is a result of the United States and their weather modification systems. China, Japan, Indonesia, and down in the Philippines as well is where I see major floods and major rains and, again, quakes and such. It's like everything's becoming very active in those two areas. The Philippines will experience many earth shifts and severe systems, including volcanic eruptions that cause major evacuations. And then Spirit just said to me that a small volcanic eruption will be the sign of the huge events that are to follow, not just in the Philippines, but surrounding areas and countries. It will be, and then India pops in my mind, but I'll go to that in a second. It will be a volcano they will never think that will erupt in Indonesia. It's one that, they might not even think it's a volcano. It's going to be a huge surprise, whatever it is. Huge surprise. So India pops up in my mind. I don't have that in my notes or anything, as I was talking about these big weather systems coming. So I can only say that in India, too, I see issues with floods that really wipe away villages. Not only that, again, major earthquakes that are going to be shaking up the whole globe this year. According to Spirit, we haven't even begun to see the shaking of quakes that are going to occur in 2022, all the way into early 2023. So again, all the more reason to subscribe and hang out with me every Tuesday. How much more do I got here? I got quite a few more here. So I was map scrying today. I take claim to that phrase. Map scrying is like scrying into a crystal ball. And Papua New Guinea popped out at me and bit me. Like literally came out of my computer, bit me, Papua New Guinea. And the earth shakes violently, and part of the island or one of the smaller nearby islands will sink into the ocean. Floods will come and follow after the quake. This will also affect Australia and New Zealand even more. And that's not my notes, that just came to me. So when that all happens, you'll see an effect in New Zealand, and then it'll, follow over to Australia. So all those areas, I wouldn't doubt that that would be some type of a tsunami type thing. My computer is about to die. Of course it is. Australia has only seen the beginning of record-breaking year in the way of weather systems with their recent floods. More floods are coming to Australia. Worse ones will hit new areas in April and in May. So areas of Australia that are new and that you haven't, y'all make sure that you batten down the hatches to get safe. I have to grab a plug because now my computer's gonna die. Jesus Lord. So our poor dear friends in Australia, and I did, if you're new and you haven't been here before, I did bring up predictions last week about Australia, and I think it was last Tuesday, I'm pretty sure. So you might want to go back and check that out. Apparently it was a popular episode. All right. Sorry about that. 2 distractions. Next week I'll make sure I don't have those distractions. Right, puppy? Now you're going to come over here because it's time for you to eat. More floods are coming again, worse in April and May. Australia, it will appear that they are getting a big cleansing from the water spirits, Archangel Gabriel, who represents the waters. Let's go back to a tsunami. And a tsunami is coming in 2022, unlike anything that we've ever yet to witness. This is both physically and metaphorically. So could it be partially the takedown of the New York Stock Exchange through their planned tidal wave? I did videos on it. Go back and look. I think 2020 I did one. Last year I did one. It's part of their plan. It's in the Illuminati cards. So I'm thinking that's a good way for them to put in their great reset plan and switch everybody to digital currencies and such. Take out the stock exchange. So could it be that? In the metaphoric way? Or could it be the vision I had of a blast that looked nuclear to me? I only saw one, thankfully, but that vision pops in my head. It's disturbing. And that has yet to happen, and hopefully it does not. Or could it be both? Because again, Spirit told me things are going to happen and unravel so quickly that it's going to awaken people on a level that is mind-blowing. Because it's going to be, for some people, too much to handle. For some people, very too much to handle. Greetings from Pennsylvania. Huge wildfires are going to ignite in the early season in California. So I felt like this was on the doorstep. Like this is happening. This is coming up soon. So please be safe. I saw in the vision multi-million-dollar mansions burning on a hill. So it's going to ravish an area where there's a lot of wealth, obviously. I remember, a lot of you will remember going back a while, over a year ago, I said that there was going to be a gas crisis, and I saw people lined up for gas. That reminded me of visions from when I was a little kid back in the 70s when you used to have to get gas based on your license plate number, odd or even. That is happening, those visions that I said, and again, it was well over a year that I had those visions. It's all happening. People are now stealing gas, folks. And as I tell you this, I see a large gas station exploding. So not only are they stealing gas, they're going to be blowing up gas stations next. I don't know where, but as I'm talking to you, that vision comes of the gas stations blowing up. And again, it looks like arson, purposely blown up. So I don't know where this is happening, but likely somewhere in the United States, but it could be abroad too. Gas theft is just going to be like they're stealing gold. And they will cut your throat for gold. So, if you have a property like a farm where you keep a lot of gas for your tractors and such, you're going to want to start putting that stuff in a big tank that's locked up and be safe and be armed and be careful because this gas crisis hasn't even slightly begun yet. I told you it would be up to $8 a gallon, probably $10 a gallon in some areas by the fall months. So sad, but we have to be prepared. Which brings me back to the vision I had that reminded me of the Great Depression. And I told you all this a while ago. Could have been 2 years ago. I'm not sure. I've told you a lot, actually, many times, about my visions that reminded me of the Great Depression. And just so happened, if you saw the news story, And it looked exactly like that in New York City this past week. Yep, New York City, people were in line for blocks to go to the food banks. What's a food bank? Same thing as food that's being given out. Just like they had to do in the Great Depression. They gave you bread and cheese or whatever they gave people back then. It's food banks would be the current day system, which will be taken over by governments eventually. So you're going to see food banks become government bank food banks. They are going to start rationing, and they probably already are, your food. China, they're already doing it according to Spirit. You might not know it. We might not know it. It might not be a news story, but it's happening. And they're going to ration foods. And folks, like, whatever you see empty and or going low in your grocery stores, that's what you need to buy. And you need to buy things to be prepared, especially things that are more expensive. So that way you have it when it triples in price, you don't have to worry about it. Grains, and all these things that I've talked to you all about so much. It's all happening right now, y'all. It's all happening. So we need to be prepared. We don't need to be waiting in line for days for food at a food bank because food's unaffordable for people. It's becoming worse. So if you're prepared, at least you'll last longer. And you won't have to worry about that. Hopefully not at all. So things are going to get extremely intense. From summer months into November with several huge events that will bring another awakening to our planet. As much as the darkness is trying to prevent more awakenings from happening, their own plan, like the last one, is going to fail. And it's going to trigger a huge awakening of humanity. And not only just a huge awakening of humanity, but thank you, Marilyn, with infinite love and gratitude for your chat cash love and support. Where was I? So not only is it, humanity awakening what's coming with their planned event that's going to backfire. I mean, their planned event's not going to fully backfire because that sadly is what's going to cause people to awaken. But that's the part that's going to backfire on them is they're not going to realize how many people actually awaken from it. Just like their little, 2020 bug and all that. They didn't realize how many people would awaken from that and start to fight back. That's still happening. Well, this is going to happen on a much larger scale, according to Spirit. When I say Spirit, I'm talking about my spirit guides, for those who are going to ask, but I know someone's going to comment down below. And so, call them what you want. So, yes, people in powerful positions are going to awaken from what's to come. And that's what we need, my friends. That's what we need. We need people that are in powerful states to switch. We need them to flip-flop. We need them to realize what's happening. And that's what's coming this fall. Maybe late summer, too. And you're going to see it. It's going to be amazing to see. Whereas, I must have missed a page. Wait, where is it? I must have missed a page because I was going to talk about Ukraine again. And I wanted to mention how in Ukraine, first of all, their president, Zelensky, is not in the Ukraine, so don't believe it. Thank you, Sherry Berry. You're sweet. Get it? Sherry Berry, you're sweet. She just sent some chat cash. Thank you. I love you. So he's not there. He's not in the Ukraine. Don't believe it. And the videos and the pictures that they send, a lot of them are not true. They're like modeling pictures, if you know what I mean. Made up, like fairy tale land. So don't believe it. He called a martial law, so to speak, to the Ukraine. And how could he be a good guy doing what he's doing to his own Ukrainian people? I'm just saying, just my opinion. Who sent 1111? That's awesome. Thank you for the 1111, whoever sent that. That's awesome. What happened? Hold on. Sorry about that. Somebody unmuted themselves. I'm going to have to boot them now. Anyway, yeah. So going on to predictions. I got something in my eye and it's driving me crazy. Another huge resignation of CEOs to major corporations is coming. This time, corporations will want to cut costs. So, we had that happen years ago. Again, I predicted it and then it happened. And then it happened again, actually, when I didn't predict it. So it happened twice. But high paid CEOs is what they're going to do. This time it's not going to be for secret reasons. This time the corporations are going to start cutting CEOs to cut costs. And you'll see that they'll bring in new CEOs that get paid less. So that's one of the things you're going to see happening with all these CEOs resigning. But here, the other ones, Spirit told me, they're cashing out and they're going into hiding. Hiding, of course, Spirit told me, isn't going to help them. But some of these CEOs, you got to keep an eye on, and this is happening. This is going to start happening like really, really soon. It might have even been happening today. Who knows? We'll have to watch the stories. Y'all have to watch the stories because I don't watch the news. But yes, and I saw federal agents raiding a large building, appearing to be like, in a fairly large city like New York. They were carrying out computers, filing cabinets, and several employees in handcuffs. This could likely be, it felt to me like a pharmaceutical company, or at least let us hope it is. So, this tells us all, folks, that it is time to implement Plan B. What is Plan B? Do you have a Plan B? Do you have a Plan A? Because again, look what's happening in the world. You have to be prepared, both physically and spiritually. By, spiritually, through meditation, through prayer, through whatever works for you to incorporate spiritual practices into your daily life. And again, whatever that looks like for you, everybody's different in what that looks like and such. Preparing physically by having backup funds, that, if the money crashes, you have a backup for that because, what are we going to have next, a backup of food and so forth, backup of gasoline, to fill up a big thing and just have it in your shed just in case it gets that bad and then there's an emergency and you need gas. These are the things we need to think about, my friends. But here's another thing that I would like to implement upon all of you, that you should implement yourselves into your daily life, especially here in the Northern Hemisphere where we just celebrated spring equinox on Sunday. Now's the time to start planting. Plant your garden, plant your seeds. It's not hard. It's so simple. I do everything from seed. And I got a whole pot here full of seeds. Hopefully start emerging soon. But I added another raised bed in my backyard so that I have more potential to grow things. And I looked at it this way this year. Things that I could grow multiple things instead of just like less of say, not so many peppers, but less peppers so I could put cabbage in or something. But I was thinking of things that I can can and jar. I learned about a peach tree in the neighborhood that as soon as they're ripe, I can go can peaches. Even though it's time consuming, you got to cut out the time and make it happen, but you'll be grateful, especially come winter time. Because folks had a little bit of a dark winter this year. That's nothing yet. 2022 is not even just begun yet. We're only in March. It's just begun. And it's just going to get more and more intense. And you need to unplug from the local fake news media. They're all part of the darkness and have you weaved into their web if you're stuck watching that all the time. You can watch it like I used to watch CNN every morning back years ago. And I watched it with the intention every morning of, let's see what they're lying about today. Like literally every morning. I'm like, let's see what they're lying about today with my little coffee mug, So yeah. So we're going to see, again, huge sudden shift that's going to also lock us into place according to Spirit. I don't know what this means, but a huge sudden shift that's going to lock us into place for a little while. And even global COVID lockdown didn't lock us into place. I mean, it kept us in quarantine, but there's a difference. You still go to the grocery store or whatever. This made me feel today, Spirit saying this huge sudden shift is going to lock you in place. Maybe because you want to, not because you have to. I don't feel like it's like jailbait arrest, but I feel like it's a need to for a little while. So again, be prepared. Remember, in February of 2020, I told you all to go out and buy food and get prepared. And then what happened in March? We went on lockdown. So it's good to be prepared. That should be enough what happened in 2020 for you to awaken to prepare now for future events and future things. But for now, I've been with you for more than an hour. My time is up. I love you all a lot. I thank you for sending through Chat Cash, and I know that somebody sent something through PayPal. Preferred method, thank you for that. I couldn't do this and prepare and spend all the time doing this without your love and support. Don't forget to subscribe to keep on top of things and so that you know when I put out new material or go live. And don't forget to get that like button. You know, I love you, so give me a little like over there. And check out all my social media down below. Until the next time, till next Tuesday, or before, but my next videos will be uploads. So live, you'll definitely see me again next Tuesday, which is the last day of the month. So it'll be interesting to wrap that up and see what April has in store for us. So I love you all lots. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste.